within central bank is being recognized and rewarded. I think this is a culture that we need to promote in this country so that when an opportunity arises in our public institutions, I think the first priority should be given to the persons who work in those organizations. It beats the logic that you have very qualified individuals who understand the institution better, who have worked there for many years, and then someone from outside who has no experience in a particular line of trade is brought to head or occupy a senior position in a public institution at the expense of the people who have worked there. So this is commendable, and I want to encourage the President to do the same for the other public institutions where he's the appointing authority, Mr. Speaker. This gentleman, Mr. Gerald Nyaoma Arita, is 36 years of experience in this sector. This is a very long period of time, Mr. Speaker, for one who has worked in this sector almost entirely his life. And I am confident that he's going to add value to Central Bank of Kenya, having served as a director in a number of very critical departments within the central bank. And that positions him to do better as a deputy governor of the central bank. Mr. Speaker, we know that this appointment is pursuant to Section 13B of the Central Bank of Kenya, which requires the President to appoint 2 deputy governors. So Mr. Arita is just one of the 2 deputy governors who are supposed to help the governor in managing the Central Bank of Kenya. So we expect that we are going to have a central bank that is going to deal with a number of very critical areas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, one of the major roles of central bank is to regulate the monetary policy of this country. Mr. Speaker, monetary policy is very key to our economy. At this point where our citizens are complaining about high prices for essential commodities, I think CBK comes in handy. Because one of the things they do is to ensure we have price stability as part of the monetary policy. And I think this is one area, Mr. Speaker, that a lot of focus has to be put so that we ensure that our people are not able to, are not in a position where they are unable to purchase essential commodities like unga, sugar, paraffin, and those kind of things, cooking oil. We need a strong monetary policy, which is supported by a strong price stability strategy. And I think when he was being interviewed by the committee, he said that he will try to ensure that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank is made efficient and effective. I hope that he's going to live to his words, because I think this is one area that Central Bank can really help this country to ensure we have economic growth in our country. Mr. Speaker, the next important thing is regulatory frameworks to deal with issues around combating fraudulent activities in our financial sector. Mr. Speaker, you have heard about money laundering. It's on the increase. In fact, Kenya is one of the hotspots, epicenters for money laundering. And Central Bank plays an important role in combating these criminal activities. And one of the things that we expect central bank to do is to strengthen the existing regulations so that we have strong rules and regulations to combat money laundering in our markets. Mr. Speaker, also issues of cybercrime. Cybercrime is a very serious issue in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I read a report that said the banking sector in Kenya is losing up to 21 billion shillings every year as a result of cybercrime. And most of the banks do not report about this. Most of the banks keep quiet about this. But this is a very serious problem. And I hope the central bank, where Mr. Nyaoma is going to be the deputy governor, should do something about increasing levels of cybercrime targeting the financial sector. Because if you have a financial sector that is prone to cybercrime, then you will not be able even to implement what Majority Leader was talking about, the cryptocurrency. You will not be able to implement cryptocurrency. So if indeed this country wants to do the digital way in terms of money transaction, I think it will be important that we put focus in eradicating cybercrime targeting the financial sector so that people have confidence in doing business through cryptocurrency. Mr. Speaker, it is also important that the central bank leverages technology in its operation. Technology in its operation is very key. And I hope Mr. Nyaoma, who has wide experience in almost all the departments of central bank, will take that opportunity to push for full adoption of technology in central bank operations. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you know, technology plays a big role in reducing inefficiencies and promoting effectiveness in performance of the mandate of an institution. Mr. Speaker, central bank also is expected to oversight the financial institution. This has had challenges in the past. You remember, Mr. Speaker, a few years back, some of the banks were penalized for having participated in the NYS scandal, Mr. Speaker. The question was, where was central bank when all this was happening? So that means that the central bank needs to up its game to ensure that the financial institution, the banks, are properly oversighted and regulated based on the risk-based supervision. Mr. Speaker, the issue of financial inclusion, which has been addressed very effectively by M-Pesa platform, and Mr. Nyaoma, having been one of the key people who approved the usage of M-Pesa, should play a big role in ensuring that we have enhanced financial inclusivity in this country. We have so many people who are keeping money under their mattresses. Some are keeping their money under their chest or under their breast. This is money that should be put in the bank. They are doing this because we have gaps in our financial inclusion strategy. So we hope that Mr. Nyaoma will guide the central bank to ensure that we have an effective financial inclusion strategy to ensure as many Kenyans as possible join the banked population and not unbanked population. Mr. Speaker, the issue of high liquidity is a concern. That banks nowadays are holding a lot of money which they can't lend out. And you wonder why. Mr. Speaker, during President Kibaki's time, we used to see people moving around with the forms asking us to apply for loans, but we no longer see those people do the same. I don't know what changed, Mr. Speaker, because we have a lot of liquidity in the bank, which ideally should be available to the citizen of this country so that they can invest in businesses for productive or multiplier effect in our economy. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Nyaoma, according to the report that we have, is in fact overqualified for this position. This is one person who ideally should be the central bank governor. But he has been there for many years. He has learned on job, and it was only wise that such a person be promoted to the position of deputy governor. So we wish him well and hope that he is going to use his knowledge, experience for the betterment of central bank, and also to help in ensuring that central bank performs its role as a premier bank in this country, as a bank that is critical to our economy, and a bank that should work for the people of Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support the appointment of Mr. Gerard Nyaoma Arita to be the Central Bank Deputy Governor. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why you are looking at me with wondering, but I just want to thank the members who came to my Thanksgiving in Vihiga. I think that was a show of love. Senator Cherigei and Senator Mutinda, who are here, Senator Eddy, I want to thank you. And I think this is the spirit we want to have as a house, regardless of our political allegiances. That was a good demonstration, and I want to encourage us to continue with the same. And even those who went to the SG's function, Senator here, the real SG of UDA, wachana na ule mwingine, ule bandia, ule alienda, alikuwa anaitwa Malala.
I am reminding you of the standing orders of this House with regards to the language that you want to conclude your speech on.
Very well guided,
please.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to create some satire because people are looking so tired here. Mr. Speaker, I want to say I support this bill, and I want to encourage the members to do the same. This motion, sorry. I encourage members to do the same.
Senator OSOTSI, one of the reasons why the chair and Senator Veronica were looking at you was appreciating the kind of reception that you gave the honorable members who came to celebrate with you. You are aware yours truly ought to have been there, but for the treatment that you showed him in Kitale on a day before your event, he definitely could not have been able